Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to another Create a Sim for the Disney Save. Today we're going to be creating the Hitchhikers from the Haunted Mansion, also known as the Hitchhiking Ghosts. There are 3 of them. Their names are Ezra, Gus, and Phineas. And this is the first time ever that I am creating ghost sims in this format. For my previous Haunted Mansion Speed Create a Sim video, I created them as humans first and then killed them off and then kind of showed at the end of the video what they look like in ghost form. And I actually did the opposite for this one. I created them by cloning Master Gracie from my original Haunted Mansion Create a Sim and then changed all of the features from that base sim. And then the plan is later on to bring them back to life and kill them off in specific ways that play into their actual lore and then releasing them into the Disney Save as Townies. I did mention a while back that I was going to be including these guys as extra little ghost sims to run around Forgotten Hollow, and I'm really excited that you guys are getting to see the video of them today. I did create them live on Twitch, so if you'd like to go and check that out, the video is up on my Twitch, twitch.tv/TomilynYT with 2 N's, or you can follow me over there so that you can come hang out and watch when we do these kinds of things live. So I want to preface that the backstory for these 3 characters is actually a little bit vulgar, and they're all horrible in different ways, and there are things that I'm not going to be able to talk about. Again, go check out the Twitch video where I actually made them if you want to get into their specific more canon backstories. I'm gonna skim a little bit on them, but first for Ezra here, he is also known as the Skeleton, and he specifically, I'm not really gonna be able to get into too much of like his individual character, but he did crimes such as like, they're all basically criminal characters. So the idea is that these 3 met in sort of like a prison/insane asylum, and they escaped together as a group, and they are like hitchhiking away from the hospital, and that is how they kind of got grouped together. Ezra is accused of things such as breaking into people's homes. He is just honestly one of the most awful characters, and I can't really get into it, but he is known otherwise as the Skeleton. He has these very wide open eyes with these little pupils. He is actually the character that I had mentioned in a previous video. I really wish I could have made a spellcaster because I would have had access to a lot more of those skin details that help me make human sims look more like skeletons. So that was a little bit annoying. He's the first character that I wasn't able to really do that, but he was described as like a completely normal human character, so I had to make do with what I have. And I do think that the ghost form takes away from some of the detail in the skin a little bit, so just something to keep in mind. But he looks mostly like a skeleton. He's dressed very timelessly, and I was able to find artwork and obviously references to the Disney World and Disneyland rides to be able to see the variations of what they had worn in the past. Now we have Gus. Gus is the one that you probably would remember has the ball and chains strapped to his ankle. He has long hair. He's definitely like an elder sim, and he was in the asylum for attempted murder. He also has some relations to Master Gracie in some of the different lore. Like I mentioned in previous Haunted Mansion stuff, I think it's important to know that there's a lot of variation as far as their backstory. They have some backstory that's canon, some that is not, some that was made by like Disneyland staff to kind of give lore to everything that was going on the ride, and there was a comic book. There's just a lot of different places that you could get your information from, so it's a little bit different. But for me, when I'm doing research, I like to use Disney Wiki, and my chat was helping me build that day, so they were kind of reading me things off from the Disney Wiki page, and we were going through that as like their character stories, so I tended to use that. But Gus is also shown usually wearing like a hospital uniform of some kind, which is really cool because we do have one that you can unlock from Get to Work, and that ended up working out perfectly. And then lastly, we have Professor Phineas. He is actually, for some reason, probably the one that did the least horrible crime, but he, to me, is the most creepy looking, and it is the first time I've ever made a sim that I genuinely was a little bit freaked out about. He looks a little bit too close to home. Like, he looks like somebody that you would see on the news committing some kind of crime, and you just know, like, there's something about him where I feel like I could pass him on a sidewalk in real life and not know that he was a bad person, and then, you know, you see him on the news a few days later. It's that kind of a scenario. So there was something genuinely creepy about the last one, even though his crimes were probably the least of the 3. But he is known for being a chemist turned snake oil peddler who was committed into the asylum after selling a miracle elixir, which caused the voice of the one who drank it to be risen an octave. So not that bad. He actually died of lead poisoning. And I'm going to try to tie their deaths into how they actually died according to the lore. Sometimes it's given to you, sometimes it's not. Sometimes I had to make little jumps here and there as far as what deaths we actually have available in the Sims. But I do try to line them up because your ghost Sims do get a trait that lets you know how they passed. And I try to line that up with like whatever makes the most sense. So for like Master Gracie, his death was death by flowers because I had it so that Constance gave him flowers on his wedding day, and that is how she got rid of him, because we all know that Constance is that type of a character. So I do think about those things when creating them, and I will be adding and applying those characteristics or those traits to them as characters in the Disney save. That actually rounds out the addition of some more ghost characters to the Haunted Mansion, but I did include one more Sim, and this one was a little bit more interesting because he is the only other human Sim that technically is going to reside in Forgotten Hollow other than Cruella de Vil. Off the top of my head, at least, the only other one. And this is known as the Caretaker, or Silas Crump unofficially, if you are familiar with him. He actually stands at the end of the Haunted Mansion ride, and he's kind of like the groundskeeper for the Haunted Mansion that takes care of the garden and just generally does maintenance and cleanup. And something that Disney himself had actually worked into the lore of the Haunted Mansion was that the outside exterior of the Haunted Mansion was always very well kept and maintained, and the flowers were always blooming. Like, it's very well groomed on the outside. It's actually the interior that doesn't look very nice. So he is responsible for keeping the mansion looking as nice as it does on the outside specifically. He also has a dog that is also unofficially named Bones. So I wanted to add these two. It was recommended by a patron that they get included as well, and I really liked the addition of adding one more human character to Forgotten Hollow. Something that was really fun to do for him is that we gave him these very scared looking eyes with like tiny pupils, and made his eyes very wide open, almost like looking like he's shocked and scared and endlessly nervous, probably because he's in charge of maintenance for a mansion full of ghosts, so he's seen a thing or two. He is an elder Sim, a little bit more of a lesser known character, obviously, and I think that if you don't watch this video, you are probably not going to recognize him right off of the bat if you just saw him in the Disney save, unless you are like a hardcore Haunted Mansion enthusiast, which is great. Something else that was really fun was that I was able to give him one of the newer outfits from Snowy Escape, because he wears like a scarf layered look with a jacket slash blazer and some kind of a sweater underneath and slacks and like nicer type of shoes. And a lot of the clothes that came with Snowy Escape are a lot of layered looks. Some of them are very modern, like he wears a sort of timeless looking outfit, and I didn't want to give him anything with logos on it. In fact, I originally had picked one jacket and was really excited because all of the colors matched up super well, and then I turned it around and it had this Void Critter logo on the back of the snow jacket because it's supposed to be for like skiing or snowboarding and something in relation to that. So it looked correct, but it didn't work for like that one little small detail, so I had to change it to a different color swatch that still looks very nice. But I was just excited to be able to use a new outfit choice, and that a lot of the clothes that we get with some of the more modern packs are just worlds better than the base game. So whereas we do have a couple of layered jacket looking outfits from early on in The Sims 4 life, these newer ones look so much better, and I definitely gravitate towards them than using like base game stuff because it's just not even close to being as good. But yeah, the jacket came with this awful logo on the back. It would work in certain instances, but for this it just didn't really work for me, and I was able to find one that didn't include that. Thank God. I'm so happy that The Sims has also started to gravitate towards the idea of making more neutral color swatches for certain outfits so that we don't have that problem. And then yeah, his dog Bones. So Bones appears to be an elder dog, and that's also really exciting. I haven't been able to add an elder dog to the save file so far, so he is actually the first one officially, and he looks like he is a beagle, some type of bloodhound mix. He had these really long, goofy looking ears. He was exceptionally thin thin. In fact, if you look up image references of him, you're going to notice some things about him that I in particular wanted to stay away from because it was actually sort of cruel and something that I didn't really want to highlight and include in the save file. It's just a little bit awful, but he's an elder dog. He has like this grayish blue sort of fur to him, and there's nothing too interesting about him other than the fact that he was like ridiculously thin. I also recently gave Walt Disney a bloodhound, so he is a mixed bloodhound, but I have created another bloodhound for the save file, so he's not even like an interesting brand or an interesting breed for the save file necessarily, but he's really cute. Everybody in chat was so excited about him. It was a little hard to see. A lot of the references are taken in the dark, and I believe he's located on the part of the ride that is still technically inside, but it's sort of designed to look like it is outdoors. Somebody who's been on the ride, which I have not been, can correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the references were really dark. So as far as getting little details about both Silas and Bones, it was just maybe a little bit difficult. But from what I could tell, he appeared to have some kind of brown coloring on the top of his back. Maybe at one point he was a brown color, and over the years he's sort of gone completely gray, but not up towards the top of the back. And that is going to be the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed the last Townie Create-A-Sim for Forgotten Hollow. We will be moving on to Mount Komorebi speed builds and Create-A-Sims and characters and all of that good stuff. A new world is coming. I am taking a break for the next few days, so if I'm a little absent, that is why. But I hope you guys enjoy your holiday and your time off. Thank you all so much for watching. If you would like to support the Disney Save on Patreon, you can do so by clicking the link in my description box down below or the one at the end of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Hit that little bell icon below to turn on post notifications so you can get updated every single time I post. And I will talk to you all in the next one.